The Affordable Care Act protects all of us from sex discrimination in healthcare. The Trump administration is trying to say that this law doesn't apply to transgender people. The Trump administration just lost this argument in the Supreme Court in the case of Amy Stevens, where she was fired for simply being transgender. Transgender people will fight back and win this. The court ruled that it is unlawful to fire someone for being transgender or being a lesbian, gay, or bisexual. The court ruled that under the existing federal sex discrimination law, employers cannot make employment decisions based upon what they think it means to be a man or a woman. The Supreme Court victory is only one example of how we're building power. But trans men of color have been building power ever since the Condoms Cafe riots, which was in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and the Stonewall Rebellion riots in the Stonewall and in New York City, which also helped the uprising of the LGBTQ rights movement that we celebrate Pride today. But the only way that this victory at the Supreme Court will go completely over the finish line is if all of you that are watching this video will hire trans folks, put them in leadership positions, make sure that their housing, healthcare, and well-being is okay, and making sure that folks around are bystanders to the transphobic violence that they face, and protecting Black trans women from the horrific violence that they face from sexual violence, intimate partner violence, and unfortunately, even the deaths. And so that is how we can shift and really make this victory even more of a victory, is if we as people in the world who are not a part of my community invest in my community and give my community opportunities. And I know we all can do that. And I know that there are so many more ways that we can build and collect power together. The Equality Act would fully protect LGBTQ people and all people from discrimination in all contexts covered by the federal civil rights law. We need to pass the Equality Act now. The unfortunate reality is many LGBT people face mistreatment and discrimination and harassment in their daily lives. LGBTQ people of color, and particularly trans women of color, face even higher rates of discrimination and too often violence that most of the time ends with our lives. By volunteering to the ACLU, so I can continue to do this important and crucial trans justice work alongside all the amazing folks at ACLU that I get to work with every day. Also, check out your local ACLU in the state that you stay in and see what they're doing around these issues. Sometimes they have acts for you to do, like a legislative cause. There's lobby days. Sometimes there's little mailers and stuff they need help with. But also, being a bystander to other trans folks in your neighborhoods, in your schools, being a good ally, showing up for those folks. If you're a parent, having these conversations with your children, having these conversations with the schools. And as I said before, this new passing of this Supreme Court case would not be a greater victory if we're not utilizing that for folks who have the power to utilize that to hire trans folks, to hire LGBTQ folks, and invest in them and ensure that they have fair and good access to healthcare and housing and safety from police brutality.